Hi, I'm Andrea Jacob,
Hi, I'm Harish.
and together we have a beautiful daughter named Zoe. She's 4 years old. That's XOE. And today we're here to answer a couple of questions that Padme has asked us. And so the first question is, how did you know you wanted to become a parent, Harish?
Becoming a parent for me, I think it was a natural choice. I never thought of it like, do I have to become a parent? I thought the world goes. I was just playing by the rules of the world. But then when I met Andrea, that's when I realized that she told me that she was interested in adopting a baby girl that she had seen long back. And I told her, for me it was a new, for me it was it was not, it wasn't shocking, but for me it was like, okay. I mean, I couldn't understand how to react to it, but I wasn't against it because I thought there are already enough people in the world. But I thought, let's see what happens. I wasn't prepared to answer her question at that moment.
I think for me, becoming a parent was a natural process only because I was already an animal parent. So I loved taking care of dogs. At that time, I was taking care of almost 7 to 9 dogs and extended animals like cats and birds and chickens and sparrows. And so the motherly instinct was always there, and it was a natural feeling. So it was just a choice of waiting when he was ready, and we thought we'll go ahead with it. So on to our next question.
Yes.
So our next question is, what made you choose adoption?
Yeah, like I said, adoption was not in the mind. It was just it just happened when Andrea introduced the adoption thought in my mind. She sowed the seeds, and I wasn't against it for sure, nor was I for it. I said, if it happens, it happens. So basically, we were open. I was open to the choice, but of course, I wouldn't say I immediately accepted her thought. I took my time. I said, let's talk about it, let's think about it. And that's how it started altogether, according to me.
So for me, it was a big learning curve when I was at the age of 24, 25, around that time. I'd say 24-ish. And I had gone for a close friend's wedding to Calcutta, and I met a girl named Pia. And she was a young girl who was being taken care by her grandmother. They were not well off. They were really, really in bad shape financially. I was just starting off my career, my financial situation, but deep down I felt so connected to this girl that the thought of adoption came in at that time. Most I always knew, but at the age of 24 it became more clear. I had more clarity, and so I discussed this with my parents, and they said, when you're financially ready and when you're you know ready in a relationship, then go ahead. So they knew right from the start. So that was my time of thinking. So how did you broach the topic of adoption with your family?
So for me, I think it's always about first accepting the problem or accepting the solution or accepting my position in my life. So what I do is I take a lot of time to agree to come to a conclusion. But once I come to a conclusion, I don't see it as a challenge, because once you are internally confident about your steps that you're taking forward, I just go straight forward and tell my parents and everybody straight. There is no hesitation. So only when you start hesitating, the day you hesitate, that means you're not ready with yourself. So get ready fully, and I got ready fully, and then I broke the topic to my parents. Of course, they were also thinking, why all of a sudden? But I said, why not? And I think that was the best decision I made ever.
So, so for me, my parents were not alive when we adopted Zoe. They passed away. My dad passed away just after our wedding, and my mom passed away just before our wedding due to medical reasons, both of them. But I have 8 siblings, and when we discussed, when I was dating itself and when I was single, I have discussed this topic with my parents a lot, and both of them were very supportive. So it was very reassuring for me, especially knowing that my parents always knew I wanted to adopt a child. From my siblings' point of view, because I discussed it with my parents early on in my life, they also knew a lot. We talk a lot, we're emotionally connected. So they knew a lot of things much earlier in my life. So there was not much convincing to do. It was already there. So I just had to inform them. So that's my take. And let's go on to the next question. How did your family and friends respond to this decision?
I think the decision was strong first. So the choice of response that was given to them is acceptance. So I think, and they all did. Luckily, I think they see the conviction in you. The world around you is always listening to you, to your convictions. So if you're strong in your will, and I think the world around you will support you. So I think none of us, at least I didn't have any problems in telling people that I have adopted a beautiful baby girl, and some of them take aback and some of them accept immediately. But for me, it didn't matter. So because I was clear what I was going through, and I loved my procedure of I loved my process of what I was doing.
So for me, it was fairly. I think I had the easy route in a way because family already knew. Friends, we were already discussing it. We were quite open with our choices of adoption quite early with our close friends and our sacred circles. So they knew. I think our friends knew much earlier, even while we were starting the process. In fact, we got friends to write the letters. We had healthy couples to write the recommendation letters. So I think it was a very healthy circle. We have a very healthy circle who understands us. So it was quite easy from my point of view with family and friends. I didn't have to explain much to my immediate family and my sacred circle of friends. The rest got to know only when we adopted Zoe. So that was my answer. And do, do you get asked intrusive questions about your child's ethnic background? If so, how do you respond to it?
Go for it.
Okay, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna start because yes, because one is features wise. Also, Zoe looks much more closer to Harish in some ways. At least there's a little bit of connection to Harish's features, and so there's a lot of questions, especially when we're meeting random people more about it. Why did we choose someone from the Northeast? Why did we even choose something so contrasting, considering that we are three people who come from three ethnic backgrounds? So Harish is Sindhi, I'm Anglo-Indian, Zoe is from Mizoram. So it's a good mix, and we live amongst animals. So I think our ethnic background is very diverse and very something that we appreciate. So when the intrusive questions came in, we used I used an approach to inform them that it's important to accept family beyond blood, because I always seen that for me it's very important to see family beyond blood. And that way we are actually opening up to a much more healthier society itself. And it's something that has been troubling me a lot, and if I don't set it by example in the way in my beliefs, then I have double standards about it. So for me, explaining to them was just explaining my way of life and how it's made our lives easier, healthier, happier, and more positive,
Yeah.
and more reason to explore unknown possibilities in acceptance. And so changing modes, methods of conversation like this was very important. So we encourage it when they ask the questions. We talk about it openly. We don't hush about the topic, and we use humor at times just to get it across. That's my approach. You have any?
Yeah, yeah. I think the intrusiveness and curiosity comes in when you don't tell people everything upfront. So in our case, I would say we were pretty upfront, and we were not choosing a child to have our features. In fact, we chose a location called like Northeast, and we were not sure, but we were not sure how the child is going to look, but we were pretty sure she's not going to look like any of us, and we were okay because the idea is, I was very clear that I'm going to keep this story absolutely open and tell everybody what's happening. And when you actually bring a person who looks totally different from all two or both of us, that gives you an opportunity to start speaking out about it. And when you start speaking about it, automatically the curiosity, the intrusiveness starts going down, because you are opening up, they are not asking you.
So this is I like this the next question. How do you plan to talk about adoption with your child? So we have already started the process since Zoe is 4 years old, and the reason why we've started the process in a more let's say relatable manner to her age appropriate conversations in the form of a story, in the form of an animal story. It's nice to explain concepts about that we can all be family even if we're born from different mothers, which we're doing with our animals also and with our child. So Zoe has organically understood it in a way that is quite natural, I would say. So we've not had much of a challenge as of now. And the reason why we started it early is because since we all look different and since we're diverse and since we travel and meet a lot of people, we do get questions asked about it a lot. And so we'd like her to answer her own questions, so she's quite comfortable. So she's already coming to us with more uh, interesting questions, which is lovely. So the process will continue.
Yeah, like Andrea said, I think we've already, and Zoe knows that she is being adopted. She clearly tells us, yes, I was born from another mommy's tummy. That's her words. And we started telling her, the day she started speaking her first few words, we decided that's the moment we should tell her. In fact, we were waiting for the first day onwards to explain to her the process of adoption. But I think we kept it till the day she starts speaking. The reason being, we won't know what she's feeling when we tell her. The time she started speaking, then we know that she can communicate back to us on what she's feeling, so we can support her in her questions. So the day she started speaking, that's the day we started telling her about different types of adoption stories through animals, and then we told her that she has come from another mommy's tummy. The earlier you say it, the better it is for us, kids, and everybody.
Do you think a child by adoption faces more hurdles in life than a child from a biological root? Um, Considering today's children, since my work involves therapy and therapy with all ages, I really don't think there's much of a difference as much as before. I think because society has evolved and it has evolved, also, it depends on how you have evolved in your own society. So I think having a healthy network, we've not really, I don't think Zoe has ever faced any issues or major issues with, also because her choice of schooling and everything has been a very organic school. So I think everything has, helped us or helped her in the process too. So I don't think her issues are that different. We haven't faced any that's very varied and different. Maybe because we have a young child, but as of now, I think it's the same.
I feel it is the opposite. If the child and the parents absolutely accept the adoption process and understand and acknowledge it, and I think she faces lesser hurdles than others, because she understands extra things, like she understands that family can be, like Andrea said, it can be beyond your blood. She understands her own consciousness in a much different level than other children still see me, my family. She sees it, although I've come from another mommy, I can still be family. So I think she will face, as she grows up, lesser hurdles than others. I think depression is out of question for her as she grows up, the way I can see it. So I think she will be a much stronger girl compared to all other people around. That's my take on that.
So the next question is, can you tell me more about movement therapy as a practice? So movement therapy as a practice is something that's very simplistic in nature. It's not. It's just a term, in my opinion, but it's something that everyone probably should be practicing on their own. They don't need a specialist in some ways, because your body actually can heal most of your solutions. So if you understand your body, then you can resolve a lot of issues around you with, everything around you can give you more clarity, especially your instincts, having more clarity in your decision making, in the way you relate to things. If you have a healthy body, You have especially right now when we're dealing into something called the new normal, having a healthy body and understanding yourself and relating to it can actually open up much more. So movement therapy is very simple. Your body can heal you, and sometimes you have specialists to help you go through it, to guide you through it. But the earlier in your life you understand it, the best gift you can give to yourself. So the next question is, do you think that movement therapy can help parents deal emotionally during the adoption process? Yes. Why is because now, adoptive parents, not everyone gets a healthy network, a healthy relationship to understand the process. Some people struggle at the beginning of the process. There's a lot of hidden anxiety and hidden doubts. Will the child accept? Will I, how will I relate to it? And honestly, most of this is coming from your own insecurities of not knowing yourself. And if you are clear with your own body, you are clear to handle any situation, so you will be much more open to the idea of the adoption process. The hurdles could get a little bit less problematic, because you can actually find solutions by understanding how you can work with your own body, work with your partner, and work with the new child, because in the beginning you're still figuring out your equation. So a bodily concept, the sense of touch, can always help you to go beyond it instead of only a verbal conversation. So understanding your child's body language and just equating just from body to body, just three of you all together, can resolve, or maybe a larger family, just I don't know how many siblings, but it can help in many ways. And so yes, definitely it will need a little bit more of negotiation, but yeah, definitely 100%.
Another question. Have movement therapy workshops help navigate different responses from parents outside the adoption system?
Yes, especially in the inclusive system, because it's most obvious in inclusive parents, that which is also another version of of understanding alternative ways to apply with the family. So it's helped them understand a struggle if they're trying to find ways to connect, and they've always looked at ways from a verbal acceptance. Movement therapy gives you a much more larger picture. It helps you be comfortable in your own space. It helps you be comfortable in a new space, and especially with families from inclusive backgrounds, that's a very big thing. With children who need the sanctity of their space, if they're comfortable with a movement that helps them, then it gives them a lot more freedom and liberation, which would give the same to all families. I think it'll just give you freedom and liberation. A simple line.
Do you think there is a way to incorporate movement therapy programs that you're doing for parents who are planning to adopt a child?
Yes, I think it's really important, because one is, if their body language is restricted, you are restricting and denying yourself of better opportunities to understand your child earlier. So, especially in the earlier process, the hesitation, a lot of parents are, we've been speaking to a lot of parents who come forward to ask questions about adoption, and
And in fact, a couple of them have adopted
have,
after
yeah,
speaking to
yeah.
us.
So the tribe is increasing,
Yeah.
but at the same time, when we see the hesitation, it's coming from a space of restriction, and it's just this simple things, like a restricted body will create a restricted mind. A free flowing body will create a free flowing process. So it's very important that the body is more willing to accept a new form of living. And so I think it will definitely help families who are planning, because it will clear their thought process when they are being bogged down by the writing and the kind of information process. When they're going into that part, the technical part of the adoption process, that's when they need to feel a little bit more liberated with their body, so they can answer their questions more calmly, more collectively, and handle the process every time they go and approach, whether it's the counseling part or whether it's meeting the child for the first time or speaking to authorities or speaking to the NGO worker who visits. I think it will help all of them to handle every situation in a much more fluid manner.
And I think my last few words on these is, you can do these movement therapy sessions, you can build your mind, you can build your body, get ready, prepare yourself. There is no hurry to decide on whatever you want to do in life. Take your time to decide, but the day you decide and you accept, wholeheartedly accept it. Only if you accept it wholeheartedly will you be able to face the world around you.
And this is Zoe. So signing off with Zoe. Thank you so much for asking us such valuable questions. We're happy to just share such a beautiful process with as many people. So it's really been a beautiful process, and we'd like to share the same with the rest of the world.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.